This year, Poco decided to launch the Poco F7 Ultra, which is a mid-range phone with a flagship chipset. This phone is priced at half of the cost of Samsung S25 Ultra. But does that mean the Galaxy is worth double the price? And I decided to compare the camera, performance, and battery life of these two phones. Also, it is the Hysteria festival in Vienna, so there is a nice folklore touch in today's video. The Poco F7 Ultra is almost the same weight as the S25 Ultra. It has a 5300 mAh battery, which is a bit of a shame. The K80 Pro, which I tested a few months ago and is the Chinese version of this phone, has a 6000 mAh battery. The S25 Ultra has a 5000 mAh battery. Both of them have a 120Hz display. The Poco has a 12-bit panel, while the S25 Ultra has an 8-bit panel, which means that the banding is more visible on it and you get less color range. They have a similar resolution, but the S25 Ultra has a large display. The other nice thing about the S25 Ultra is the anti-reflective panel, which is super helpful in sunshine and summertime. This is actually one of the main features that kept me in the Galaxy ecosystem for the past 2 years. The Poco has 3 cameras on the back, an ultrawide, a wide, and a telephoto lens. The S25 Ultra has 4, since it has 2 telephoto sensors instead of 1. The main sensor on the S25 Ultra is a flagship level and is larger than the one on the Poco F7 Ultra. For reference, the Poco sensor is the same size as the iPhone 16 and S25 base models. To test the camera, we went to the Hysteria festival in Vienna. Hysteria is a region in Austria where I went to university and got my doctoral degree. In the shots with the main lens, the most visible difference between the two photos is the more contrasty look on the Poco and a slightly more lifted shadows on the Galaxy. Also, the S25 Ultra, you get a slightly better shallow depth of field due to the larger sensor. The Poco has a unique color profile that is very similar to the Leica Vivid profile on the Xiaomi phones, and I'm pretty sure they are using the same color science. That means the photos are a bit more punchy on the Poco, a bit vivid, and also the photos lean more towards magenta rather than the green tone on the S25 Ultra. Maybe this photo of this yummy Italian pizza shows the difference between them very well. It boils down to personal preference a bit on which you prefer. Galaxy S25 Ultra does support log, which is great because it means you can color grade your footage. What was very surprising to me is that the Poco also has a log profile, which is great news. The log footage from the Galaxy looks great, and in general I have a good time color grading it, even though it is a bit limited. With Poco, the log footage is a bit more processed, but nevertheless, it is great that you have this option and you can do almost whatever you want with the footage. You can use the portrait mode on both phones too. This is what I shot with the main lens in the portrait mode, and I find the Poco's processing a bit better, especially on the hair area. With the 3x zoom, the Galaxy is using the 3x zoom lens, while Poco is using the main telephoto lens. The quality is comparable, but again, Poco is processing the hair better. Galaxy can also take a picture at 5x zoom with the second telephoto lens, but Poco's portrait mode is limited and can't go further than 3 times. You can also use the portrait video mode on both phones to blur the background artificially. The Poco video is a bit more vibrant, while the Galaxy is more muted, but in terms of processing, they are both great. In general, with the main lens, the Galaxy footage is flat. Poco is adding more colors, make it more vibrant, has a bit of a magenta tone, and is also more contrasty. If you zoom in 5 times, the Galaxy can also produce more detail compared to Poco, and I also feel the exposure on the Galaxy is slightly better, while the footage on Poco is overexposed, which is something we also see on Xiaomi 15 Ultra. As long as you stay at 5x zoom, Poco can keep up quite well with the 5x telephoto lens from the Galaxy. Even at 10x, as long as the subject is a building with sharp edges, the Poco picture is very decent. At 30x zoom, you start to notice that Poco pictures are lacking the optical quality that the Galaxy photos have. But I should admit, Poco positively surprised me with its quality, and I did not expect it to keep up this well. Of course, especially with human subject at 30x zoom, you can clearly see that the Poco can't keep up and has to do lots of smoothing and other computational photography techniques, while Galaxy can make the photo more natural. Both phones have an ultra-wide lens, which is a standard thing. I personally prefer the Galaxy processing here. If you zoom in, you can see Tanya's face is too contrasty on Poco, but overall, the photos are very close and it is difficult to say which one is better on the ultra-wide lens. Even indoors, except for the color science, the quality is very similar, and for videos with the ultra-wide lens, the colors are what differentiate them the most. Overall, the S25 Ultra in my opinion does a slightly better video processing overall. The selfie sensor on both of them is a similar size, and in theory, they should be able to take the same photo. Here, the sky on Poco is a bit overexposed compared to the Galaxy on the selfie camera. Also, Poco has a magenta tone, while the Galaxy has more greens in the white balance, but the skin tone is more accurate. They both have dual video mode, and here I noticed two things. For one, the Poco can only record video in selfie up to 1080 instead of 4K, and for two, the stabilization on the selfie camera is lacking on the Poco F7 Ultra compared to the Galaxy S25 Ultra. Fun fact, people in Austria are crazy about their tractors and farming. There is even a reality show dedicated to farmers trying to find a wife. I miss my time in Styria. If you happen to come to Austria at some point, maybe consider visiting Graz and the Styria region. They are very happy people and they love to sing and, of course, they drink. I took this video in 30x zoom, and I should also say that people of Styria have, let's say, a unique taste in comedy and music. When it comes to performance, both of them are running a Snapdragon 8 Elite. The S25 Ultra is running on a custom-made, slightly higher clock rate Snapdragon 8 Elite, while Poco is running the vanilla version of it. I ran the Geekbench, and Poco got a lower score compared to the S25 Ultra. I then put Poco on performance mode and ran the test again. This time, Poco got a better score, but it was still behind Galaxy, with a score of 8800, while Galaxy got 9800 on multi-core. Then to test the graphics, I ran the 3D Mark benchmark. In this one too, the S25 Ultra got a higher score of 6600 on the Wildlife Extreme test compared to the 6100 points from Poco. That said, both of these phones are going to handle anything you throw at them, and you simply won't get anything better. You can play Genshin Impact on high setting and 60 frames per second, and probably most games are much less demanding than that. One great thing about Poco is the fast charging. The phone charges to 100% in only 34 minutes, while the S25 Ultra gets only 65% in the same time, according to GSM Arena. When it comes to battery life, I did a day in the life comparison with them, and I spent a day with a 5G SIM card on both of them, playing YouTube videos, web browsing, taking videos and photos, and by the end of the test, after around 3 hours of screen use, the Poco had 55%, while the S25 Ultra had 51% battery life. This is to be expected since they have almost identical battery capacity, the same Android 15, and also the same processor. Poco has a slightly larger battery size though. Poco is running HyperOS 2, while Galaxy is running OneUI 7. In general, I know a lot of folks are complaining about HyperOS in the comments, and OneUI is one of the main appeals of Galaxy phones, with the OS being more mature. When it comes to ads, I still don't get anything on Poco, but please note that I am in the EU and we don't get ads here. I just get these notifications from time to time from the system apps that can be turned off. Overall, Poco F7 Ultra is a great phone. It is one of the cheapest, if not the cheapest Snapdragon 8 Elite phone out there that is available globally. What you miss is a bit of a camera action, especially on the longer zoom level. Also, you lose things like the S Pen on the Galaxy and the anti-reflective display, but you gain a slightly better battery and also faster charging speed. If you want to save some money, Poco can be a decent choice. Maybe another decent choice is the OnePlus 13 that is priced between these two phones. You can watch the comparison of Galaxy S25 Ultra versus OnePlus 13 next. Thanks for tuning into Tech Mo, and I will see you in the next one.